So silly short little video here, just some of the detective work that I do when I'm trying to research something, not just related to um, building a Camaro, but to reverse engineer something that I can't necessarily afford. So one of the things that I do is, it's kind of silly, but I use dial indicator, and I know for a fact that this subframe connector is 2" by 3" rectangular tubing, and that this wide part is 2 inches, or sorry, 3 inches. So what I do, knowing that they cut the hole out exactly an interference fit, I measure, there we go. Measure the hole, which I measured it the first time as 8.26 millimeters is equal to 3 inches. And then to figure out where to cut this underneath the seat brace, I measure this part and then put it over here. So with some simple algebra, I guess it's algebra, I don't know, it's been 20 years. You just cross multiply. So to solve for x, I know that the 8.26 is equal to 3 inches. I know that how far underneath that seat brace that they cut is 6.25 millimeters, and I want to know how many inches that is in actuality. So 6.25 times 3 equals 18.75, and then I have that on one side of the equation, and then on the other side of the equation I've got 8.26 millimeters times x. So that's that. So then you just divide both sides by 8.26, and that means that x equals 2.27 inches, or approximately 2¼ inches. So kind of some real simple math to figure out how far underneath this seat brace they cut. And I've even heard of guys counting pixels on computer screens, but I will oftentimes print something out that I want to try to recreate and measure it with as precise as I can. And so from that little shadow line that's created from the rust, this is underneath the seat pan. I had to remove the driver's side seat. Anyways, so from that little shadow line that I'm using as my reference, 2¼ inches, that means that I'm going to cut up to right about here for my subframe connector hole. I've already cut out part of it here. So anyways, just kind of a random little trick that I use to try to recreate. The other thing that's nice with this floorboard is that there's lots of reference points, like these little drain holes or the ridges where the back of the subframe connector ties in. There's this little stepped lip. Oops. Nope. This is the back of the subframe connector. So where the back of the subframe connector, there's this little ridge. And so I found this little ridge is where they stop their cut. So they kind of give you lots of little clues, and with any other pictures you can kind of, I don't know, I call it reverse engineering. And then randomly, here's the brackets or mounts that I made. A closer look at them that I welded on to adapt the Audi TT seats, which are super comfortable, really like them. I went through a little bit of extra effort, so after I tack welded them on, I cut them back off and I welded nuts on the back side. Oops, there you go. Nuts on the back side of all these so that I didn't have to try to get a wrench back there because I didn't see a way to do that. So yeah, so those are just a standard nut welded onto the back side of my seat brackets. And I've been told, and so I always do, but after you weld the nut in there, to leave the bolt in it until it cools so that the hole doesn't deform. So another tip that I picked up the other day was to use a blue dry erase marker as kind of a poor person's layout fluid. You can buy, I think it's called Dicom, or there's machinist bluing fluid, but basically it just makes your scribed lines stand out quite a bit better. This is the template I made for the fish mouth. I can't talk. It's almost 11 o'clock and I've been out here pretty much all day. So 11 p.m. So anyways, I created this template, some more cardboard aided design, and it fits pretty well there. And you'll just have to take my word for it that it fits pretty good on the bottom. So anyways, that's it. So I just finished welding in the subframe connectors. Everything went pretty well. Both sides are done, top and bottom. That subframe connector turned out a little bit better because to get this angle, I only did a single cutting wheel width as opposed to this other one that I ended up taking about 1/8 of an inch out of, maybe 1/4 of an inch, which was way too much, so ended up bracing it up. Still have to tack weld this in place. It's kind of, I don't know, where the seat pan mounts. Haven't done that yet because I might have to do some, I don't know why I haven't done that yet. Anyways, haven't got to it yet. So show you an underside of the subfloor connectors. Looking at it from the side, they hang down pretty much even with the rest of the frame. I like how they look. You can barely tell they're in there if you don't know what you're looking for. Sorry, I'm getting on the creeper. That's about what they look like. They're tied into this other section of frame in the back, welded solid, obviously welded to the floor pan. And then up here, I just have it bolted through to the Trailblazer subframe because maybe for some reason I decide I need to move the subframe, or maybe, heaven forbid, I get in a wreck and need to replace something. Right now they're just temporarily bolted in place so that I could weld them without them moving. I'm going to put another sleeve in between here, and then I'm going to order some grade 8 bolts to final bolt them in place. So, yep. That's it. Fully installed. And now I'm going to move on to mounting the transfer case, which is kind of terrifying because I'm going to be cutting a ginormous hole right here, right behind the driver's seat. So I'll show some videos of that when I get it done.